All right. Good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to today's coffee break. My name is Sean Davenport Smith, sales engineer here at Long Building Technologies. Just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Buckle up. Today, we're going to be talking about Nyle heat pump water heaters and some of their new and innovative products. Today, we've got Bryce Malone. He's the director of sales with Nyle, and he's got a lot of information to give you. So pay attention, and I'll turn it over to him. Thanks, Bryce.
Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. So hopefully these things will stop coming in here and we can move on, but I'll let you manage that, Sean. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you all, first of all, for the time. Obviously, there's a significant investment in time, and I appreciate you all making that for us today. So we are going to cover a lot of information this morning. So it's going to come at you fast, but I will do my very best to cover it thoroughly so that you leave here with more information than you had before we started. So this is what we do, and this is all that we do, and we've been doing this since 1977. So air source, water source, heat pumps for the use in commercial, institutional, industrial applications. And as Sean mentioned, we've got some new technology that we have recently deployed in the last call it 18 months, was one of the products that we'll talk about. And then we've actually got one that will be released at AHR this year in Las Vegas. So for any of you that are going to be in Las Vegas this year, you will actually be able to see it. It'll be there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the first one that I want to cover is the Pyroclast. We launched this in October of 2024, and it has been received extraordinarily well because of its capabilities. And so for those of you who are not familiar with phase change material batteries, these are a very broadly used technology overseas. We adapted that phase change material, those thermal storage batteries, into a heat pump water heater. So what you're looking at is, for all intensive purposes, a massive instantaneous hot water heater. And so this unit that will fit through a standard doorway will deliver the equivalent of 375 gallons of stored water at 40-degree ambient. So unit can go indoors, unit can be outdoors. What you're seeing here is a hospital in Indiana where it's deployed. Here you've got a school out in California, a college dorm out in California. And so you can see its versatility and how it's deployed both in and outdoors. This is what it comes to you like from the factory. So everything is actually already put together. The heat pump is mounted to the batteries. All of the connections are already made between the heat pump and the battery. So all the sensors, all the service port valves, the expansion tanks, controls, everything is already actually connected. So once it hits the slab at the job site, you've got 6 connections you've got to make. Water in, water out, power to your heat pump, power to your batteries, drop your condensate to the drain, and that's it. So very easy to install. Again, fits through a standard doorway, indoors, outdoors. So these PCMs are massive heat exchangers, and you have 5 of them inside the cabinet on the bottom below the heat pump. These are very dense. These use what we call a plentigrade type material, which is really a wax-based material. And if any of you are salt and vinegar chip fans, it's actually the same salt that is used to make those chips. So you can see the material here that surrounds and encapsulates these heat exchangers, which is where the water is running through. But these are 4 times more energy dense. So what does that mean? You actually have a piece of equipment that is 20 times more energy dense, as we have 5 batteries, than water sitting in a storage tank. So you have minimum standby losses, very small. It'll fit through the doorways. We talk about the footprint. Very stable leaving water temps. 140 degrees will be sent to the fixtures. You can obviously mix that down whether just outside the unit itself, or you can do it at the fixture level. These are food grade, so these are safe. This is not something that if you ever did get a leak, you would need to call hazmat or hit the fire alarm button. High velocity, so you're going to get 178 gallons an hour recovery. You virtually have less than 8 gallons of water at any one time in the system. So you can mitigate any and all Legionella risk because we're not actually storing water. So a lot of benefits to this technology. Some of the performance statistics here, the onboard electric backup, which is nice because it actually has built-in redundancy. So if in the event something was to ever happen, a pump failed in the heat pump, while you're running down to Ferguson or whomever your CW Jones or whoever you're going to go see, you can grab the pump, get back to operational. While you're waiting for that pump to be repaired, a couple hours, 8 hours maybe, you're going to be on electric resistive backup, which the batteries will automatically kick in the event something was to happen. So you've got that backup already built in. You, the engineer, do not have to design that in. High COPs, 32 and a half gallons a minute, and a lot of free cooling. So in this case, 3,600 CFM of free cooling that you can use. As you saw, that one unit in Indiana University was ducted. They are using that cooling to cool another portion of the building. So then we go to the Swiss Army knife on the water source side. And this unit is an amazing piece of equipment because it really does everything. This can do pure domestic hot water. I can get you 175-degree leaving water temperature to handle your space heating needs without any change to the system itself. That's just the capabilities of this piece of equipment. So you've got a really very easy to install. These are modular, so I can just build these out. As you can see here, this uses four C270s that are modular and are coupled together. Performance statistics based on how much and how big of a piece of equipment you need will obviously vary based on the application. But this unit, the only one that we make that will do both space heating on its own and or domestic hot water on its own. So again, when I talk Swiss Army knife, when you're doing water source, if you're tying into a cooling tower, chiller system, or if you're pulling off of a geo loop, this really is the ideal unit for that because of the capabilities, the capacities, and really the ease of installation of this particular unit. Great for boiler replacements. If you've got a boiler system that you're retrofitting, this is a plug and play solution similar to our Electro on the air source side, but very easy to remove a boiler system, whether it's cast iron, steam, high efficiency condensing boilers that you're looking to retrofit. This is a drop-in plug-in replacement. One of the benefits on the domestic side is its ability to be deployed in a cooling tower chiller application. And in this case, because of how heat pumps work, a heat pump water heater in this case is actually going to be operated in a heat recovery chiller application where we're going to be sucking all this energy from all this existing HVAC equipment, and then I'm going to lower your condensing water temperature. By doing that, you're going to pick up now not only higher COPs on your domestic hot water performance, but now you're actually going to impact the system's overall system COP, and overall system efficiencies. So for every 1 degree of colder water I'm able to run back to your cooling tower, your chiller, you're going to pick up anywhere between 1.5% and 2% of increased efficiencies. That's actually from Johnson Controls. They've studied this at length and actually have great data on how you can impact that. I can deload a variable speed chiller. So if I want to decrease its output, another application where I can deploy a water source heat pump water, in this case the C270, to also deload that chiller. And then I can also be used to decrease the lift. So I can reduce the lift of those chillers as well. So there's more to the deployment of a water source unit in particular, especially as you're talking about other HVAC equipment in the system that you can benefit from and leverage not only higher COPs, but also increase your system efficiencies in general. With this, you always get submittals. So this is just a snapshot of what our submittals look like. These are actually available on our website. Talks about what the configurations are, gives you your single pass and multi-pass. Just for those of you who may not know the difference between single pass and multi-pass, there are differences in when you would use single pass and when you would use multi-pass. And the differences in this case depict the flow rate differences, because as you can see, if I pipe something in single pass with a C270, I'm going to get 44 gallons a minute. Whereas if I pipe it in multi-pass, I'm going to give you almost double that, so 72 gallons. And this boils down to when do you use one over the other. For those of you that are interested in knowing more about that, just holler at Sean and we can spend more time. We can do a 45-minute hour lunch and learn to really dive into the weeds on system design. But I'm just giving you kind of a real quick highlight of what you see when you look at the equipment specifications. Electrical, available options. And then we transition now into the air source side and our purely specifically designed for space heating heat pump boiler application. The only one of its kind. This is for high temperature boiler replacement. So the Electro, which we launched about 6 months ago, is your drop-in boiler replacement. So this unit will deliver 170-degree temperatures. We can get up to 175 based on what some of the ambient conditions are, but this will be a hydraulically separated. So you've got your primary, you've got your secondary loop, buffer tank size, which we will provide that in the manual. And this will operate on its own circuit, and it will handle the building load. We will always ask for the J load of the building, so we properly size this. But to simplify it, you're going to replace that with our system and leave everything else in its place. If we are going to continue to fill an indirect tank for domestic hot water within the building, absolutely, we can still do that. Or if you just want to use it for a high temperature boiler for heat emitters and purely doing space heating, this unit will do that as well. This is built specifically for space heating, so this actually uses a hydronic circuit inside. The heat exchangers are different, so this is not like taking an E360, which for those of you who are familiar with our equipment, you probably look at that and go, hey, that looks like an E360. Well, it shares the same cabinetry, but the actual internals are significantly different because it is specifically used for space heating on the hydronic side. So some specifics here. Again, you look at the performance data. This is a rooftop installation that we have done, but you can see some of the capacities and capabilities of this unit and the BTU outputs. For more information on this particular piece, if you've got space heating requirements that you're looking at for boiler replacement, again, holler at Sean, holler at Long, or this information is available on our website as well. So what are we about to launch? So new product coming out here again at AHR in Las Vegas. So for those of you that are going to be there, love to see you. Please stop by the booth. We're in the South Building, and you're going to get a chance to see really cutting edge technology being deployed in heat pump water heaters. This is our E180, or the internal term is the Velo. We tend to use dinosaurs. Don't ask me why, but we like the dinosaur theme, so we go with that. The Electro, the Velo. This unit is, quite honestly, there's nothing else like it in the marketplace. This is a air source unit designed for cold climates or moderate climates, whatever. This unit is capable of making 180 degrees at narrow and wide deltas. Here's where it really starts to differentiate. Many have tried and many have failed to do return to primary single pass systems. You cannot do that unless you are using a variable speed compressor and a variable frequency drive. So those that have tried and sadly have failed use a fixed speed compressor, and that's why they have the issues that they have, because it just can't handle it. You'll burn up a compressor. That's why we have not done a return to primary design until now with this new Velo Electro project. This will fit through, this is another key, this will fit through a standard doorway. This will fit on any elevator, pallet jack, easy. It's 2,200 pounds, but it will fit through a doorway. High static ECM fans. Nice thing, zero clearance, right? The rooms that you are having to build and put equipment in does not get larger. And so as a result of that, we have made these zero clearance. You can go side by side with these units to really maximize the space. This does use that 15 horsepower VFD reciprocating compressor. We are Buy America, Build America, as everything that you saw and that you have seen and that we make is made in Bangor, Maine. So we are BABA compliant. We have NSF 61 ratings. We are UL 60335. This is a A1 refrigerant, so it can go indoors, obviously. It's non-toxic, it's non-flammable. You don't need to build in any safety configurations around that, being that you're going to deploy it indoors. There is no reversing valve, so you're not going to have to worry about your domestic hot water affecting your defrost, because we use a specific type of defrost with electric resistive elements embedded into our evaporator coils, which allows us to do defrost relatively quickly within 4 to 6 minutes versus like a reversing valve or hot gas bypass, which can take hours. And while you're in that mode, you're actually not making domestic hot water, so you would be specifically on resistive or some sort of backup during the time of defrost. These are available in 208, 240, and 460, and it will not have any sort of efficiency hit on the transformer. Some specifics around it. Again, it kind of recaps what I talked about. You can see your COP impacts. This is what we do. Applications, multifamilies, hotels and hospitality, universities, colleges, any type of school, hospitals, restaurants and other food service. We do a lot of government buildings, and then we do a lot with office buildings as well. So there's really not an application that we don't fit, and we cannot make a piece of equipment that we manufacture fit in those spaces. Typical applications were new or existing. That's when we'll look at system design, whether it's multi-pass or single pass, indoors, outdoors, a lot of ducting, a lot of heat recovery, and then the amount of equipment that we make. We make roughly 18 pieces of equipment, again, all made in Bangor, Maine. Simplicity, trying to make it as easy as we can for not only the engineers, for the contractors installing it, and reliability for the owners. As far as this equipment should last 25 to 30 years if properly installed. And so that is absolutely what the expectation should be of the owners. So just real quick, and then we'll wrap this up, is, these things have changed a lot. So just because you're going to look to be sustainable doesn't mean you're going to be spending an absolute fortune to do so. Part of that comes down to our sizing and our ability to size these things accurately versus making these guesses that then wind up oversizing your systems. We can do this quickly without having to disrupt buildings. We can reduce your emissions levels significantly. 175, 180 degree output temperatures. All information is contained in our submittals. So any sort of defrost, any sort of derates, everything that you see will be included on our submittals. We don't hide from anything. Tie these into a chiller, cooling tower system, BABA. We are built in Maine. Products are not custom, so these are low lead times. We're talking 10 to 12 weeks, and we'll get these out the door and to your job site. So appreciate everybody's time, and I'll let Sean, I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks a lot, Bryce. Appreciate that. That was a lot of good information. If anyone has any projects that they're working on or have any projects come up that are interested in looking into this technology, please reach out to one of your long salesmen. Please join us next week when John Blauman, he's going to be hosting it with Casper and talking about their technologies. And with that, I want to wish everyone a great day. Please let us know if you need anything and appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.